I think that's a good thing. I think FSG are good owners, but they should spend a little bit more money. But better the devil you know when you look at some of the Middle Eastern countries with human rights issues. I think I'd rather not go down that road as a club. I think it's a bit of a dodgy one, especially now the Premier League have brought sanctions against Man City. I think they're trying to mark the card of clubs that are going to be Middle Eastern owned soon. And yeah, you've got to look at the Qatari World Cup. There was we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to wear armbands, and then they banned it. So they're not going to change their opinion. So yeah, not for that whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too bothered. I'm not one of these. It's like FSG out. I'm all they've delivered to the club in the past couple of years. And I know a lot of that is due to Klopp, but I think the people that are looking to buy these sort of multi-billion-pound football clubs now, they're not the sort of people that Klopp particularly wants to work with, given his sort of ideological views. I don't think he's something that he would stick around for. And for me, Klopp is priceless. You could have anyone sort of coming in and blowing teams out the water with transfer fees and all that, but you've only got to look sort of down the road to Manchester City with what's happened recently with where that can eventually lead. I'm not one of these that sort of call in. I've not got the pitchforks out wanting them to go. The club obviously needs investment. The squad needs investment. Things have got to change. We need a bit of an overhaul, especially in the midfield and the wider squads. But yeah, I'm not too sort of disheartened by them sticking around, providing some investment does come, because something has to give. But I'm not convinced that necessarily means them sort of leaving the club. I think sort of long term you could argue, but the last sort of couple of years there has been some definite negligence on the squad. The midfield was sort of a glaring problem that fans knew was coming into this season, and injuries all over the pitch have sort of exasperated how big a problem that is. The past couple of years investment has been missing, but then you look at the wider term, and again I know people will point to Klopp being the sort of the common denominator with the success since they've come in, but they have delivered. The Premier League title came to Anfield for the first time in 30 years. The European Cup, we've won literally everything there is to win under them. So there's only so much you can criticise them. But then on the other hand, there's definitely been a lack of investment over the past couple of years. And obviously we'd all love some brand new shiny signings in the summer, and Jude Bellingham's obviously the one that we want, and providing the investment comes in the summer, I see no problem with them sticking around, to be honest. So I think there's a careful line to tread. I mean, football is for everyone, and it's important to emphasise that it's not a game that should exclude anyone because of where they're from. But then you've got the problem with sort of state-backed ownership that we've seen in Manchester and Newcastle, where there are some political problems that come with it, and I don't think we should be letting people into the game that with the beliefs and values that they have in those countries that they are enforcing. We've obviously it's obviously been a big conversation with what happened with the World Cup last year, and it's a careful line to tread, because everyone should be able to prove themselves and to prove that they're not sort of involved with these beliefs and ideas. But then if when you've got a state-backed consortium coming in for clubs, they are obviously aligned with those views of the country. We have to sort of, there has to be a moral sort of barrier that we have to keep to not allow those people into football.
Absolutely. Look, if they're going to pump money into the club, then don't sell. Just don't be like everyone else. The Far East, they're going to pump in how many millions to United. Don't do it. Just keep an air club, keep the money going, and don't fucking be like United. But look, their tenure so far has brought us the Champions League. They won the league, FA Cup. They've won everything. So why change? Don't panic. Just let's go and let's see what happens with them. There's no need to go all this protest and force them out and stuff like that. Don't do that. Let's give them a chance. Let's give them a chance. Don't do what United are doing. The minute the money comes in, 500 million, lovely, let's go. Don't do it.
I think it's time to sell, really. It's time to sell. They've just not got the funds we need to move forward. Obviously, me personally, I think they've took us as far as they can take us. They've done a good job. Stadium's come along lovely, training facilities. We've built a foundation, but the next step with Man City, Newcastle, probably Man United going to Qatar now. They just won't compete without selling. I think outside investment buys you a year or two at most. You know, what's outside investment? I know the Red Bird thing was a different sort of investment, but so if they whatever they sell, they invest into the club. We're probably looking at 200-300 million to rebuild the team. So investors aren't going to keep investing forever. It's going to last for a year or two. Probably right time to sell.
Sure, and obviously the people that are coming into football now, the Qataris, the Saudis, what are your thoughts on them coming into football with all the money that they've got?
The only thing I'd say about this sort of ownership models, it's not good for football in the aspect of the money goes up for everyone, and you know where's the cap on spending for not just for Liverpool, not just for Man United, but for the football pyramid in general. It starts getting ridiculous. Your average players now costing 30, 40, 50 million, and it's never ending.